Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be considering a 9mm rifle, right? So you can see from here, it has a Glock magazine in it. So this is a 9mm rifle. This is the Palmetto PX9. We're going to be considering if this can kind of substitute an AR-15 that has a suppressor on it. So we're going to be talking about sound in this video. So I'll tell you guys an interesting story. First time I shot a suppressed AR-15, right? An AR-15 with a suppressor. And here's the thing, a lot of times people debate suppressor versus the term silencer. On the original patent, they called the suppressor a silencer because the guy that invented it was going for marketing, okay? So he was trying to push this as something that was actually quiet. So that was a purely marketing move when he called it a silencer. It is not silent, it is extremely loud, and that the reason for that is that the majority of the sound from gunfire does not come out of the gun, but rather it comes from the bullet that is ripping the air as it goes downrange. Okay, there's nothing that you could put on the end of the gun to make it quieter other than slow down the bullet itself. Right, and they have ways of doing that with heavier bullets, but you also lose a lot of power with that. So, but in this video, we're going to be strictly talking about a standard AR-15 that shoots 5.56 that some people will put a suppressor on, compared to a 9mm rifle, pistol caliber carbine. You know, a lot of people call it a PCC, right, for pistol caliber carbine. And the thing that I'm exploring in this video and that we're considering it, and I really mean we're considering it, I'm not saying that I've got the answer or do it this way or this is the right answer. We're just considering it. So one of the things that I have been considering is that the 9mm the 9mm rifle can in some cases substitute for a suppressed AR-15. Okay, so let me tell you guys a story. About 15 years ago, first time I was shooting a suppressed AR. I didn't own it; it was somebody else's. I was standing about 10 feet away from the guy while he fired a couple of shots. I didn't have ear protection on. I'm like, wow, that's freaking loud, okay? I was like, what's the point of even having a suppressor on an AR-15 if it's gonna be that loud, okay? It was so loud that basically I had to wear earmuffs while I was shooting it, okay? So it was just a tiny bit quieter, but I could not comfortably stand next to somebody shooting a suppressed AR-15 and not have some type of ear protection on. Okay, so I was like, well, what's even the point of this? But now I understand that there are some suppressors out there that are a little bit better, but even the good ones, I mean, yeah, you pretty much have to have ear protection on because it's gonna be really uncomfortable. Okay, so so that was the first time I was shooting a suppressed AR-15. Now I'll tell you guys from experience, shooting these two different guns, right? So a lot of times I'll be at a gun range, and there's the firing line, right? And on the firing line, yeah, you gotta have glasses, you gotta have ears on. But usually, like behind the firing line, a lot of times they require glasses, but they don't require ear protection, right? Because you're not on the firing line, you're not shooting. So if so about 30 feet back, a lot of gun ranges are not anal about people having ear protection on. So what and obviously now we're talking about at a gun range where there's not a whole lot of people, right? So it's quiet. You pull out the guns. We're about to start shooting. So you take that AR-15 out, you load it. Okay. Obviously, the people at the firing lines have ear protection on. The people 30 feet back don't. Fire a couple of rounds out of the AR-15 without any suppressor on it or anything, and I will notice that the people standing 30 feet back are scrambling to try and find earmuffs, all right, because it's really uncomfortable, right? So 30 feet back, they're looking for earmuffs. It's that uncomfortable. Now, by comparison, the 9mm rifle, okay, same situation. When this is being shot, the people 30 feet back that do not have ear protection on are not scrambling to get earmuffs, okay? So although this is loud, it's not so loud and uncomfortable that people 30 feet back are looking for earmuffs. Now, if I'm on the firing line, yeah, this is freaking pretty damn loud. It's too loud for me to comfortably shoot this gun without ear protection on. But 30 feet back, the sound is just low enough that people will tolerate it. Okay, so what I have noticed over the years is the same applies with an AR-15 that has a suppressor on it. If you got somebody shooting, in many cases, an AR-15 with a suppressor on it, yeah, if you're standing right next to them or you're shooting it, you want to have earmuffs on. However, the people standing 30 feet back, they're not scrambling to try and get ear protection. So based on that observation that I have made, all right, I can basically, I can kind of form the opinion that a suppressed AR-15 is very similar in sound-wise to a 9mm rifle. Okay, so you'll get the same sound. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually fire these two guns. Obviously, this is not suppressed, but you'll be able to kind of hear the sound difference. And here's the thing: there's a limit as to how much sound a recording equipment is able to actually capture. So firing this gun is really not going to give you guys a I mean, you'll be able to hear the difference, but it's really not going to do it justice. But all the same, let's fire a couple of rounds at it. So this is AR-15. You can tell from the size of the magazine. There's a standard AR-15. I'm going to fire a couple of rounds now of the 9mm. Let's go back to the AR-15. Let's go back to the 9mm. Okay, so to me as the shooter, with the earmuffs on, I really can't tell that much of a difference on the sound, right? While I'm actually shooting and I got earmuffs on, I can't really tell that much of a difference. In fact, even the recoil kind of feels the same to me. So the sound kind of feels the same to me. The recoil kind of feels the same to me while I'm shooting with earmuffs. However, when I am standing 30 feet back, right, and I don't have earmuffs on, there is a really big difference, right? With the AR-15, it is extremely loud. I'm usually running to get earmuffs. With the 9mm rifle, I can usually tolerate it. It's not that loud. So that's one of my observations. Some of you guys may have never actually shot an AR-15 or heard one, or not shot an AR-15, shot a suppressed AR-15. So some of you guys watching this, most of you guys watching this will have shot AR-15s, but you may have not shot an AR-15 that's suppressed or heard one being shot. And that's kind of like what I'm kind of getting at is that, here's the thing, when people ask me, is a 9mm rifle a good choice for home defense? And my answer is usually no, and the reason is because, here's the thing, I don't know what company you're buying it from. Like with a mil-spec AR-15, okay, I know what mil-spec is. I know what kind of standard you're getting. Now, it might be that the gun that you're getting, maybe it's not up to par, maybe they, but the point is that there's a certain level that's expected. And if they don't meet that, then we say it's out of spec. Basically, the gun's built incorrectly. But we have a standard that we can expect from an AR-15. A lot of people say mil-spec is not good enough. A lot of people say that mil-spec is the lowest possible acceptable standard. Understood, but the point is that there is a standard of mil-spec. With 9mm, there is no such standard, right? There's no standard for, so, the 9mm rifle that I have here might be built differently from a 9mm rifle from another company. With this Palmetto PX9, one of the things I had to do when I got this is I had to get a heavier buffer weight. So I got an 8-ounce buffer weight in here versus the 4-ounce that it came with, right? And I find that with the 8-ounce, it basically it works a lot better. It's less prone to breaking pins, and so there's an example that through shooting this, I was able to fine tune this. I had to, basically when I got this out of the box, I had to change the buffer weight in order to get this to work, to work better. Okay, whereas with a mil-spec AR, just because there's just so much experience, there's like 40, 50 years of experience with this gun, you can expect that if you buy an AR-15, it's going to work good without you having to change everything if it's built correctly to mil-spec. So that's the reason why I tell people, no, don't get a 9mm rifle for home defense, get a mil-spec AR-15 that's standardized. However, you don't only have to have one gun, right? I tell people you always got to have two guns, right? You got your main rifle, your fighting rifle, and then you have a pistol as a backup. But there's nothing to say that you can't have a third gun, right? So in a home defense situation, okay, you know, you can definitely have a third gun. So you may choose to use the 9mm because it's a little bit quieter inside the house. You know, that might be a consideration. And have this close by as your backup, all right, and then have your pistol as a backup to that. So that's perfectly fine. Now, one of the things that will sometimes come up when we're discussing this possibility, all right, is people will say that the 9mm, you know, might be a good choice to have as your primary, and then have the AR as a backup because the 9mm is less prone to over penetrating. And I can tell you guys that's absolutely false. I have tested it. I've posted a video where I lined up 7 barrels, each of them 15 feet apart, and the AR-15 shooting 5.56 penetrated 3, and then turned to dust by the time it got to the 3rd barrel, right? Whereas the 9mm penetrated 4 barrels, and in the 4th barrel, I was actually able to retrieve the bullet, which was mostly intact. It had not broken up. Okay, so as far as over penetration, right? The 9mm is going to over penetrate more. Is more likely to over penetrate after it goes through, you know, the 2nd and 3rd barrier. Now, obviously, if you're shooting at the 1st barrier, the 5.56 is going to have a lot more penetrating power. But after that 1st barrier, the 5.56 starts breaking up. The 9mm, as I have tested it, seems to hold up better when going through multiple barriers. Okay, so as far as a reason why you would want this, you know, for over penetration purposes, no, that's not the case. The 5.56 will actually is less prone to over penetrating. The 9mm rifle is going to penetrate a little bit more. Okay, but a possible reason to use this is for sound reasons, right? But because this is a little bit quieter, it basically, to me, it sounds like an AR-15 that is suppressed. Now, typically when people use AR-15s, although the ones I have shot were 16-inch barrels with the suppressor out to here, which made it stupid long, usually people will use shorter barrel ones, SBRs, right? So they'll have like a 10-inch barrel and then have the suppressor after that. So what happens is, when, you know, obviously when you shorten the barrel up, you're losing a little bit of energy there. So because people typically put suppressors on shorter barrels, I think it kind of bridges the gap a little bit, you know, with this, you know, because here I can use a 16-inch barrel and not have to, you know, I don't have to use a shorter barrel, right? I can use a 16-inch barrel, and it is, to me, it seems as quiet as a suppressed AR-15. Whereas with this, if you put suppressor on it, because this becomes stupid long, now you got to shorten the barrel up, so you lose some velocity there. So it kind of bridges the gap a little bit. You know, I am able to hit targets out to 200 yards with this 9mm rifle. It's not really good for hitting targets beyond that. So inside of 200 yards, this could be a really good choice. But like I said, if you're going to use this, if you're going to use the 9mm rifle, you know, I would definitely have a standard AR-15 close by as your backup. Okay, so couple of things to consider there. And again, I'm just bringing this up for discussion. I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm just talking about this from the perspective of sound. Okay, it seems to me that the sound out of suppressed AR-15 is very close to the sound out of just a standard 9mm carbine. So post some comments in the comment section. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.